Up the card to our first bout on the main card of UFC 300, we have Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. This is my favorite fight on the entire card. It's probably between this one and, well, say Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway is a really good one as well. Like, this card's very good, but I think this one is probably my favorite fight on the entire card. It's just a really big test for Arman Tsarukyan, who's a very good prospect, probably one of the better prospects in the UFC. If you were like to rate them, it would probably go like Shavkat and then Arman right here. So he's one of the best prospects in the UFC. Charles Oliveira, this is kind of a test for him too. He's getting up there in age, 34 years of age. Got a really nice win over Beneil Dariush, but Beneil Dariush also just got flatlined by Arman Tsarukyan. So very interesting matchup here. I will say, another reason why I do really like this matchup is because it kind of gives the number one contender. I know there's Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway at lightweight, and they're probably going to give the title shot to Justin Gaethje if he does win. I don't know if they'll give it to Max Holloway. But this seems like the real number one contender in my mind. I think whoever wins this fight should be fighting Islam Makhachev next. It shouldn't be Dustin Poirier. Why Dustin Poirier is even being mentioned is beyond me. I actually had a little bit of a rant on one of my live streams recently. So if Dustin Poirier gets the title shot, I'm actually going to be really fucking pissed. But especially over if Justin Gaethje wins or Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan. Like, this is the number one contender fight. If they can't make it, put Justin Gaethje in there or whatever. But outside of that, I'm going to be going with Charles Oliveira here, very similarly to what happened in this Beneil Dariush fight. A lot of people were counting out Oliveira. They're like, Beneil Dariush is grappling, Charles Oliveira's chin. In this case, or not in this case, but in that case against Beneil Dariush, I said he's a lot better on the feet, Charles Oliveira is. I don't think he's going to get submitted on the ground by Beneil Dariush. And he's a lot, again, explosive, a lot more, I won't even say technical, but he has more items on the feet. Beneil Dariush is just going to scrap with you, and I thought that was just a very beatable style for Oliveira. But with Arman Tsarukyan, it's a little bit different. Very clean prospect, or at least he has evolved very recently, which was pretty nice to see. Arman Tsarukyan got that rough matchup. I think he was supposed to fight Renato Moicano, then Renato Moicano messed up. I think it was in the knee as well. So a lot of knee injuries recently, I guess, that has been taking out fighters, but it turned out to be Joaquim Silva, and he got hurt pretty badly by Joaquim Silva, who's a pretty jacked up Brazilian dude. So this is what a lot of people will probably be basing their Charles Oliveira predictions on. I think this is too soon for Tsarukyan. It's not that he's not ready for it. I just think he's a lot of time. He's 27 years of age. I think Charles Oliveira, his style of just going forward, being that weird, explosive pressure style, I don't know if that's going to be good for Arman Tsarukyan here. Arman Tsarukyan, he's just kind of evolved that stand-up game. His stand-up looked really good against Beneil Dariush. The power, the combinations looked really good. Even against Joaquim Silva, his stand-up actually looked pretty good. He just ended up getting caught. I think the same thing can happen with Charles Oliveira. My only worry with Charles Oliveira recently is that in the Islam fight and the Beneil Dariush fight, he went to the clinch immediately. It was like trying to take him down from there. And even in the Beneil Dariush fight, Beneil Dariush just kicked out the fence and just got on top of him and was beating him up there. Charles Oliveira was getting in the clinch with a judo guy in Islam. He's not specifically judo, like he's sambo, but he's very good at judo, and he was just controlling him all the way. Islam was a lot stronger than Charles as well. I don't know if that's going to be the case here for Arman. Please don't go into the clinch and trying to take him down again, but he might do that. But here's the thing, Arman Tsarukyan, I don't see him forcing himself on Charles Oliveira. From what we've seen from Charles Oliveira recently, the only guy that was able to submit him as of within the last couple of years was Islam Makhachev, and it was all based on like strength. Like he forced himself on Charles Oliveira. He got him in the arm triangle and squeeze. I don't know if Tsarukyan is just going to out-muscle Charles Oliveira in this fight. I think if anything, if he gets him to the ground, it's more of holding him there. And Charles Oliveira throws so many things at these guys, and it's very tough to hold on. You saw that against Beneil Dariush, who's a lot better of a grappler than Arman Tsarukyan. Not like a crazy amount, but we've seen Beneil Dariush against like Mateus Gamrot. We've seen Mateus Gamrot versus Arman Tsarukyan. So just the pure grappling and submission skills of Beneil Dariush, just going to war with Charles Oliveira very early in that fight, you saw that grappling kind of show, and Charles Oliveira was able to get Beneil Dariush off of him. You can say Arman Tsarukyan's a little bit stronger. Maybe he's gotten a lot better at controlling guys. He's more of a guy that's going to get you in his guard, advance, and then just punch you on the ground and use that ground and pound. I don't know if that's going to work here for Oliveira. Oliveira is very unique. He can find ways to win the fight. Very explosive again. And I do think he's just going to be a lot better than Arman Tsarukyan. I just think Arman Tsarukyan's getting better. on the feet and on the ground. Like all aspects of his game, he's evolving for sure. But Charles Oliveira, pressure forward style, explosiveness, a lot of power on the feet. I don't think he's going to get chinned by Arman Tsarukyan either. Like, I don't know if he's going to get dropped. And then what happens? So, like, say we put this as a scenario. Charles Oliveira goes out there and gets dropped. Like the normal Charles Oliveira thing that was happening during his title reign. He goes out there, gets dropped. What is Arman Tsarukyan going to do? Is he going to tell him to stand up? Because I don't think he's going to stand up with Charles Oliveira. I guess he dropped him, so maybe he's going to bet on that a little bit. But Arman Tsarukyan, I don't see him as a guy that's like Islam Makhachev that's going to force himself and force Charles Oliveira into like a submission that Islam was able to do. I don't see that in Arman Tsarukyan's game. If anything, he's going to have to drop him every single round to win this fight. I think what is it, like a 3-round fight here is what I want to say. Yeah, 3 5-minute rounds opening up the card. I think Charles Oliveira, this fight benefits him a lot. A 3-round fight for Charles Oliveira. He can do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to worry about tiring out. He can force himself on Arman Tsarukyan. Charles Oliveira has not taken significant damage from any fighter since the Islam Makhachev fight, and that was 1.5 years ago. I know he trains at a crazy camp where people are like, oh, he's got another cut on his head. That's cheap box. Like, they have crazy sparring videos. If you see them, they like go full, they go full like crazy at each other during their sparring. So, I mean, that kind of thing happens, but he hasn't taken significant damage for 1.5 years. Like that Islam fight, he is the only time, or at least the last time he got dropped, and that was the worry going from that Islam fight to the Beneil Dariush fight and a very scrappy Beneil. That was the worry for that fight, and it's just been a long time since Charles Oliveira has gotten hurt very badly. So I think Charles Oliveira is actually going to TKO Arman Tsarukyan here. I don't think he puts him out cold. I don't think he submits him. Maybe he drops him to the ground. Tsarukyan like tries to get up and he hops on his back and submits him real quick. I can see that happening. But I think a late first round TKO or a submission is probably what we're looking at. I think late first round finish for Charles Oliveira here. A lot to be said about this fight. This is my favorite fight. I can definitely see Tsarukyan winning, but I'm going with Oliveira. I just think he has more ways to win this fight. I think he's a little bit more polished than Arman Tsarukyan at this point, and that's what I'm going with. So let me know who you guys think wins down below in the comments. He will be at a 1.5 inch reach advantage as well. So let me know who you guys think wins down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.